Good day. This is the Phi Barrett Show, and we are here in the Two Guys and a Mic podcast at an undisclosed location in Saratoga County. Great to be with you here today. The Phi Barrett Show will talk about many subjects, events, and informational opportunities that are occurring around our municipality, Saratoga County, and as well as touch on national issues from time to time. I'm Phi Barrett. I'm the town supervisor of the town of Clifton Park, also chairman of the Saratoga County Board of Supervisors. So hopefully I'll be able to add some insight and some additional information that perhaps you weren't as familiar with, and make this show an informational outlet that you'll find valuable. I had started a podcast, and it was audio only with some technical glitches. And although fun to get started and test out on this forum like this, here at the Two Guys and a Mic podcast studio, we have a wonderful setup here. We have audio, we have visual, we have great technology. And just want to thank Jay and the guys for allowing me to use the studio. We will have regular shows, we'll have guests, and we'll be talking about a lot of important topics. One thing I do want to say is we've seen in different parts of the country early voting results. The number of people early voting has been very high compared to previous years, and you might be wondering how you can early vote if that's something that you're interested in doing. So I just wanted to pass along some information along those lines. So early voting takes place in Saratoga County between October 26th and November 3rd. And on Saturday and Sunday, you can vote from 9 to 5. Monday and Wednesday, you can vote noon to 8. Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, also 9 to 5. Okay, so what locations are available? Well, there's 6 around the county. So it's certainly convenient for you no matter where you live in Saratoga County. First up, Board of Elections, 50 West High Street, Ballston Spa. Clifton Park Half Moon Library, which is located on Moe Road. Gavin Park, 10 Lewis Road in the town of Wilton. Greenfield Firehouse 1 in the town of Greenfield. The Malta Community Center on Route 9, where you can vote for this guy that we're going to talk to in a bit. And also the Saratoga Rec Center, 15 Vanderbilt. So those are the locations where you're able to vote early. If you do wait till Election Day, you can vote at your designated polling place. Also, along the lines of providing information about some upcoming activities that are occurring in the town of Clifton Park on Saturday at 11, we're going to have our Veterans Day celebration. It'll take place at the Common, at the Veterans Monument, which is located between the soccer fields and the ice rinks, and we'll be celebrating the service of the many valiant men and women who have served our country. We completed a Veterans Walkway last year, and we sold several hundred bricks for $100 a pop, where you can celebrate your favorite veteran on the walkway. So you can take advantage of that program at any time. We have plenty of room left for people to buy a brick. It gets engraved with whatever you want to say, whatever fits on the brick. And we'd love to have your favorite veteran displayed at the walkway. Now, you've also seen dozens of new banners celebrating the service of many veterans in town. And those banners started going up last year. Another program that you can take advantage of to celebrate the service of your favorite veteran. And you can do that, either program, through my office at 371-6651, 371-6651. Just ask for my office, and we'll give you all of the information. You can also find information online at cliftonpark.org. So we'd like to celebrate our veterans in every way we can, and these are just 2 more ways to do that through our brick program on the Veterans Walkway, as well as the banners that are hanging from poles in Clifton Park. So love to have you as part of that program as well. So in this forum, in this beautiful studio at an undisclosed location in Saratoga County, I much more easily can have guests, and obviously the visual part of it adds some flavor to the podcast and gives you an idea of exactly who you're talking to. You may have heard the name of my first guest here. Maybe you want to put a face to the name if you haven't met him yet. He is currently a Malta Town Board member. Now, the town of Malta is important to me, just like every other municipality in Saratoga County. However, I live right on the border of Malta. I literally look out my kitchen and see the town of Malta. And that is, I try to stay certainly in tune with what's going on in Malta and what important topics are discussed in that municipality. The gentleman I have with me here today, Matt McLaughlin, is
Hello.
currently a town board member, and we're very glad to have him. Hey, Matt, how are you?
Good, Phil. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to see you. I know you've been out there working hard, doing a lot of door-to-door, and doing everything that a candidate does. It's your first run for office because you were appointed to a position to fill a term.
That is correct. I was appointed in December by the town board when John Hartzell retired early from the board. So this election is a special election for me to finish out that term, which is be for another year.
Great. So, and for those that don't understand that process, if somebody is an elected official and leaves before their term is up, typically what happens, doesn't happen in Saratoga Springs apparently, but in other municipalities, at the next general election, there would be an election for that spot. So somebody may get appointed to the town board, but then they have to run. And Matt's not the only one in that position this year, but certainly a very important race in the town of Malta. So particularly if you live in the town of Malta, if you know people who live in the town of Malta, I think after hearing more about Matt and his expertise, background, experience, and what he wants to do for the town of Malta and the work he's done over the last year as an elected official, would certainly help make your decision in that election. And a big part of your experience and career has been law enforcement. And when you consider somebody that's in law enforcement, you see a lot in the community that others don't. And I know you worked in various positions in law enforcement. But how has that kind of helped you in your position as an elected official? Have you seen any transfer of using that expertise in your position as a town board member?
Absolutely. I served at the state police for almost 24 years, and also alongside that, 34 years in the military, both active duty and reserves and National Guard currently. As a state trooper, I had a chance to meet thousands of New Yorkers across the state, from inner cities to the most rural areas up in the Adirondack Mountains. And you meet people from all walks of life, every economic level, hardworking New Yorkers who are just struggle maybe every day to just make ends meet. And when you meet these people, when someone calls the police, they have a problem, and they've tried so hard to solve this problem that when they call the police, a state trooper shows up, they're frustrated, they're at their wits' end, and they're looking for a solution to a problem they have. And in many ways, when somebody comes to the local town government, they have a problem. And they've been trying to work that problem, that issue that bothers them so much. And that helps, having talked to people for the last 24 years and helping them solve their problems, that transfers over absolutely to local government to help the community with their problems.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And certainly spending that amount of time in the military, you have a lot of leadership experience. You know what it is to work within a team, to lead a team, to accomplish its mission. And although on a town board you have 5 people, and they're all kind of their own entity in a way, right? They run their own elections. They have their own thoughts and plans for what they would like to see happen in the town, and each of you has one vote on various items that come before the board. But it's that team building, it's the leadership that I think is very important to somebody's background walking into a leadership position for the community as an elected official.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. You have to have some compromise. You have to be able to find an end goal that everybody is in agreement to achieve and how to get there. I do believe that for most Americans, we agree on 90% of the same end states. We just disagree on how to get there.
Right. No, that's true. There's no doubt about that. And getting to the point of solving problems, fixing issues, whether it's an individual constituent or a problem or planning for the entire town, that consensus building and leadership is incredibly important. I know it was very important with me with my short military career, but just having served and gone through the training and been part of a team and leadership positions definitely translated to being an elected official, because at that point, you're part of a policy board and you're trying to get things done for your constituents. As far as your military career is concerned, what was, I'll say, one major lesson that you learned from your military career that's helped you not only as an elected official but in life?
Wow. So many lessons.
I know that's never give up. That's right.
Never give up. Never give up. There is a solution. When you're looking at a problem, and believe me, our military, when you're deployed overseas, some days you look at a problem in front of you and you realize, how am I going to solve this? And there is a solution to every problem out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're in the military, law enforcement, you're dealing with possibly life and death situations. So you've been battle tested, you've been tested through the years, and that too is very important as you step into a leadership role as an elected official on the local level. One of the major issues you've spoken about during the campaign is your concern about the future development in town. Now, you're in a position where you're coming on the board. You've been there for less than a year now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you've been there less than a year. There's been a slew of projects that were approved before you joined the board. There's many projects that received final approval before you got there or were very close to receiving final approval. And so I know the town of Malta has a lot on its plate as far as development and how the town board will eventually plan for the future of Malta. And I know that's been a major concern of yours as a board member and in the campaign. Can you tell us what generally would be your concerns about making sure that Malta evolves and develops in a positive way?
Yes. Thank you for the question. Growth is inevitable, and growth is a good thing. It helps the local economy. My concern is the type of growth that we want in Malta. Saratoga County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state, and Malta is one of the fastest growing towns in Saratoga County. And one of the big issues I have is an overdense development in certain areas of the town, and losing that aesthetic, that character of that forest that everybody loves about Malta. Welcome to the forest. And some of the development that is occurring today are seeds that were planted years ago, and they abide by the zoning laws, our current zoning laws. We put together a comprehensive plan last year that passed the town board, and in that plan there are 22 recommendations on how to tighten up our zoning laws so we don't lose that character of our town. And what I want to do now is to bring our zoning laws into compliance with the comprehensive plan. And one of the things to do there is what's called a PDD, a Planned District Development. And they want, in the comprehensive plan, they're discouraging PDDs, and I agree with that. Let's discourage them. I'm not saying that I'm against any particular proposal, but let's bring our zoning into compliance with the comprehensive plan before we take a look at any PDDs that are coming down.
Well, I think that's a very good, personally, my opinion, I think that's a very good way to look at it because for those that don't know, a PDD is basically a zoning change that requires town board approval. So with larger apartment complexes and very dense developments in towns like Clifton Park and Malta and others, it typically would require what is called a PDD. So the applicant would come in with a plan. The plan is reviewed by the planning department and the planning board in most cases. And then ultimately it's a decision of the town board as to whether that project moves forward or not. It's not a requirement of the town board to even vote on a project like that through the PDD process. But eventually, if it were to go forward, it does require town board approval. And there's a large property, then we've talked about it in this podcast studio on the other show at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway. I mean, that's one that's a little more high profile, and I'll just use that as an example of a project needing approval by the town board and what is in effect a zoning change to actually have that project approved. And so I think working outside of zoning, working outside of the comprehensive plan is always a risk for municipalities. And I think it's important that that's something that is on the top of your list as a concern going forward as a town board member in the town of Malta. Because generally, you know, that one project, 700 plus apartments, a decent amount of commercial as part of that project as well. Not a project that I'm in favor of, by the way, but I don't have a vote on that one. But for other reasons, not planning reason. But just speaking generally, when you see those large-scale apartment complexes that might want to develop in town, because I'm sure there'll be more. There's been quite a few of them in Malta, but I'm sure there'll be more that'll come forward. Obviously, you want to see the plan. You want to look at the pluses and minuses of it before making any decisions. But basically, what's your general view of that type of large-scale development as far as fitting into your vision for the town of Malta?
It does not fit in my vision of the town of Malta. If that was presented formally in front of the board today, I would vote against it. That project, as it stands right now, consists of 30 buildings on that site. 12 are three-story buildings and one four-story building.
Wow.
That's a significant change to the character of Malta if that project was to go through that way.
Yeah, I think you're right. It definitely would change the character in a lot of ways and would create other issues. Because I think you're right. You know, having growth in the community does a lot of positive things for the community, but it has to be the right type of growth. And I've always looked at what type of growth drives value in our communities. And if it drives value, it adds value, it's good for the community. If it doesn't, well, then it's something that you have to take a very sharp look at.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, we're certainly we're certainly glad to hear that as far as large-scale apartment complexes, that Mr. McLaughlin has a lot of concerns about those. But again, like any other elected official, you have to see the plan, and I don't think they've actually presented a plan for the Speedway property yet, have they?
There was supposed to be a workshop back in August. That has been suspended, I'm assuming, until after the election to see how the election goes.
Yeah.
Just some numbers for the town of Malta. There's roughly 41% of all residential units in the town of Malta are made up of apartments, or over 2,100 apartments. That's from 9P to just south of the main circle on Route 9. And there's already been approved close to 300 more apartments that have already gone through the planning board. And again, the planning board is in compliance with our current zoning laws.
Mm-hmm.
And when those projects are finished, our town is going to be close to about 47% apartments as our total of all of our residential units within the
Wow.
town of Malta. And if the 700 apartments will go in there, you'll be looking at close to 60% of all residential units in Malta are being apartments.
Wow. I didn't even realize that. That's an incredible statistic, and certainly one that you're right to be concerned about, at least in my view. Uh, Now, you have been a positive vote on the town of Malta purchasing a large private water system, which isn't out of the ordinary. Clifton Park did the same many years ago. We had various private water systems that are installed initially and then operated by the developer in a particular area of town. We consolidated all of them years ago and created the Clifton Park Water Authority. But prior to that, you had developers like, I guess the most well-known one would be Mr. Van Patten, who operated a sewer system. He operated a water system with thousands of homes within those systems. So it's certainly not out of the ordinary for a municipality to purchase a private water system. But based on your view of things into the future, why did you feel it was important to vote yes on that purchase, and look to the future as far as the infrastructure of the town of Malta?
Yeah, so town of Malta has recently purchased the Saratoga Water Services for $14.3 million. And I was in support of that, and I voted for that. It's a good thing for the people, for the town of Malta. Oh, by the way, it went to a public referendum, and it overwhelmingly passed. I believe like 90% of the people supported it.
Wow, that's a good point. Yep.
So this Saratoga Water District, that's now what it's going to be called, I believe, District 1, Saratoga Water Services was going to sell. The owner is a private water company. He was going to sell it. If we did not buy it, we lose any opportunity to have any control over the prices for the people of Malta of what to be paying for the water. By purchasing it, we can guarantee what that water price is going to be. And in fact, we lowered the water from $5.34 for 1,000 gallons to $4.34 for 1,000 gallons. Excuse me. One of the other reasons that the benefit for the townspeople to have this water company or to have this water district is now we also can control the development. If you control the water, you can also have influence over the development that is coming into town, at least within that water district. The water district or the water company, the oldest lines are about 40 years old, and from what we understand, and as far as water districts are concerned, that's a young water company, a young water district. Right. There's no lead pipes, and the water is of good quality, and it only is produced, or it's only at 50% capacity of how much water can come out of the two wells that make up the old Saratoga Water Services.
So you have a lot of additional capacity that's available to you, and I know that system is known to be extremely robust. There's a lot of water there.
Yes.
So it did seem like a good investment, and it protecting that asset for the town of Malta in the future made a lot of sense. Now you've run a positive issues-based campaign, which I'm sure the people of Malta greatly appreciate, and something that is we should continue to inspire to, whether it be local or national campaigns. What kind of response are you getting at board meetings, going door to door? anybody that's paying attention in the town of Malta knows there's an election going on. So certainly, I'm sure they're listening that much more, listening to you in a heightened way as to what you're saying and what your thoughts and plans are for the town, your concerns. What kind of response are you getting so far?
I'm receiving overwhelming support when I talk to anybody, anybody across the political spectrum of what I want to do with our zoning in the town. You see a look of almost relief, like it's about time. It's about time this issue is being addressed. I've reached across the aisle or across the political spectrum, and I've had many Democrats who actually have my sign on their lawns, and I can appreciate that so much. Because people realize that a few things. Local and county government has as much, if not more, influence over a person's daily life than what Albany and D.C. have. And they also realize that, yeah, they belong to a political party, maybe to vote in a primary, or maybe they agree with the national political ideology.
Right.
But at the local level, they are looking at the policies, and that's refreshing to know. I have great discussions with people, whether they agree with my policy or not. Most of them do. It's just really nice going door to door, and everybody's appreciative that I'm going there face to face to tell them who I am, tell them what I'm about, and they're being involved in local politics.
Well, it's extremely important to put the face with a name, but it's also important to be there, answer questions that people have. Plus, you learn so much. You really learn what's on their minds.
You really do, and that's a lesson I learned as a trooper for sure. Problems or issues that I think may have thought were trivial are really serious to somebody else.
Yeah.
And you have to listen, and you have to understand, where they're coming from and why it's a big deal to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then come up with solutions and ways to help them, whether it's an individual issue they have with their property or a more encompassing issue that they have that may affect the entire town. Now, you, as you're going through the campaign, now you're running for the first time.
Yes.
And you can't completely, for anybody that hasn't run for office out there, you can't completely prepare to run for office. It's something that is just totally different than any other experience you'll ever have in life. I've run 13 times, and by now I know at least what to expect sometimes. But it's always different. Even if you've run a long time, each election is always a little different. What have you learned? Maybe one lesson or one big thing that you've taken from your time running in your first election here in 2024.
You never stop campaigning.
Yeah.
You're in the longest job interview of my life. and I'm not trying to convince one employer to hire me. I'm trying to convince thousands of employers to hire me. And I do not take that for granted that the people are my employer, and I want them to hire me to serve them. And I like to say, if you vote for me once in November, I'll be able to vote for you every month at the town board.
Well, I think that's a great way to put it. It is the longest job interview in that you'll experience. There's no doubt about that. Some job interviews you have to go through 2 or 3 levels. This is months long and basically years long, because even during your term, especially a term like mine, I only have a 2-year term. 2 years goes by very quickly, so you run for re-election. Hopefully you're elected or re-elected, and then a year goes by, and now you're right back into that process all over again. So I think just bringing every day to the table, working hard every day, is part of your job interview, and I know you've done that. And it can be very difficult to find people to run for office nowadays. People don't like to be bashed on Facebook or criticized, and whether it's true or not, they don't like to get into possibly controversial situations with their neighbors or people that they might know in town. I mean, the bashing and social media and everything, that'll happen every day in most places, and whatever, it is what it is. I just post on my Facebook page and move along. I don't scroll through my Facebook too often. I don't read a lot of the garbage that's out there. But that's just part of the game nowadays. And so it can be difficult to find people to run for office. You're somebody with a lifelong service. You have a life of service. You served your state in local municipalities as a law enforcement officer. You served your country in the military for many years. And now you're going to that next level of service as an elected official. And just want to get a sense of why you think that's important and why you wanted to take that step.
I've always wanted to get involved in politics, and when I retired from the state police, that was a perfect opportunity. My children went to Boston Spa School District. One of my children currently plays on the Boston Spa Soccer Club, and I was involved in the coaching with that club. Their talent far exceeded my ability of coaching, so I kindly stepped aside and decided to help out with that at the town level.
Yeah.
And as hard as it is also somewhat easy as long as I make sure that the FCC isn't listening. I almost slipped there, but
Oh no, this is a podcast.
Oh, okay.
No,
Well,
we can say whatever we want.
I'm not going to BS the voter.
You should hear some of the other shows on this station.
It's easy when I say what it is I want to do and not say what I think you may want to hear. I know there's not another person in this town, in this state, or in this country that's going to believe everything that I believe in. Right. So I just tell the people what I believe in, what I want to do, and if they disagree with me, okay. If they agree with me, great. Then hire me to do this job. And that is what's also going to make it easier for me. And my opponent.
You mean easier personally?
Personally,
yeah, because
yes.
if you tell the truth and you're very honest and upfront about your positions, it is a lot easier than trying to be somebody you're not. We see that plenty of times on the local and national level. So I think you're right about that.
Absolutely. My opponent and I, we talk. In fact, we spoke the other day. We were both running very nice campaigns. We have. I remember we both gave each other our palm cards at our community day event. We got a photo opportunity, shaking hands, and we're trying to convince each other for the other one to vote for us.
How'd it go?
I don't think we convinced each other. But.
So you're still going to vote for yourself?
Yes.
All right, good. Because that wouldn't be good for the show, so we can't. Yeah. So, but well, that's great, and it's nice that you're able to have that kind of relationship with somebody that you're in a job interview competition with. Because when it comes down to it, it's competition, and it can get very personal, and sometimes does. But the important part is to not take it personally. And I think going back to what you said, it should make it easier as far as not taking it personally if you're just stating your concerns, your solutions for the future, your plans, and going about it and being yourself. And that's extremely important. So as we get into the stretch run, again, I gave you the information at the top of the show as far as where you can vote with early voting, and that's something that more and more people are taking advantage of, and probably a good idea to do so. God forbid you get busy on election day and decide you can't make it to the polls. If you bank your vote earlier, you don't have to worry about it. So I know there's a lot of concerns that people have generally with our election system in this country. But voting early, banking your vote, more and more people are doing it, and it's probably a good way to go. So as we go into the last less than a couple weeks, it's going to be quick here. Um, what is your view on things, and what do you foresee happening on election night?
I'm confident I'm going to win, but I am not taking it for granted. I still owe many people in the town of Malta an appearance so they can ask me questions personally. I'm going to be down in your area this weekend.
Great.
I'm going to be sprinting all the way to the end. I'm going to be fighting for everybody who has a sign who's of mine on their lawn. Everybody who's donated $1 to my campaign. I do not take that for granted, and I'm going to knock on as many doors in the town of Malta as I can from now to November 5th.
Great. Well, my neighborhood spans Clifton Park and Malta. It's probably 70-30 in Clifton Park, something like that. But a large part of the neighborhood is in Malta, so I guess you'll be right down the street.
Yes, I am.
All
I
right.
was there the other day, actually.
Very nice. It's a great neighborhood, by the way. Great place to live. In the good old town of Clifton Park and good old town of Malta. Well, Matt, we can't thank you enough for coming in today to talk to us about your campaign, your background. I just want to say personally how pleased I am and how reassuring it is that somebody with your life of service, extensive background, expertise, bringing that to a local town board is very valuable for any town, and it has been and hopefully will continue to be something that remains, you will remain a valuable asset to the town of Malta. Town of Malta has a lot of issues on the table, just like every other municipality, and very important items of interest that many people are concerned about. So having somebody with your leadership and background is extremely reassuring to have somebody like that on the board. So I just want to thank you for coming in to our inaugural podcast here at the Two Guys and a Mic studio in Saratoga County. This is quite a setup, isn't it?
It's nice. I like
Yeah,
it.
it's nice. Yeah, Jay did a great job on this. I'm going to talk to him next about his excursion down to western North Carolina. Many people out there know Jay, but you didn't realize that he was somebody that would go the extra length to help people. I know the people that he works with on a regular basis know that, but more generally, I thought it would be important to bring his recent story to light and put him in the interview chair as opposed to being a host of the show. So that's coming up next. But thank you, Matt, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck, and really appreciate your service to our state and our country and the town of Malta.
Thank you.
So we'll be right back with Jay from Two Guys and a Mic.
We were great.
Oh,
We
boy.
were free.
Oh, God.
Had a country that couldn't
Well, I was
be
a little nervous at
Well, I
first.
think
We were right till the
I
left.
think it's still going.
Set our country up to burn. I didn't want to be you. We were sold a lie. Started to cry, but then remembered I'll vote Trump in November. Kick you out on your ass.
What's that?